네, 반갑습니다.
Nice to
오늘
meet you. My name is Jia Sin. I am MC of this session. Sejong Smart City Forum 2021 is the Smart City International Forum first held in Sejong. We are having a second day of this forum. So today, the entire schedule will be held online to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And as of yesterday, many people are joining us through YouTube online live broadcasting. Thank you very much. So the theme of this 2021 Sejong Smart City Forum is the Smart City Answers by Sejong. So we prepared the 6 sessions containing each meaning based on the alphabet of Sejong. So we are having a very significant and meaningful sessions here. So please stay with us until the end. Now we're going to start the second day of this forum. So the session of J sessions theme is that the joint venture and joining governance. 4 speakers are preparing the presentation, and also later we're going to have a panel discussion with the speakers. So in the development of smart cities, we need a government effort as well as the citizens' solidarity and their engagement. So how Sejong Smart City has been engaging citizens in its development, and also what will be the challenges and the future projects for the future, those will be discussed in this J session. So first, let me introduce first speaker, Na Yun Ha, the team leader of a Smart City Division of Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport. And the topic of this presentation is the future of national policy and its prospect. So let me invite her on the stage. Good morning. My name is Na Yun Ho. I am the team leader of Smart City Division of Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport. So let me talk about the smart city in terms of a public corporation. So in terms of creating the smart city, how government is leading the corporation and private sector, the question is about that. So as many people know, so currently, the 5-1 living zone of Smart City and also Busan's Eco City are designated as the national pilot cities for Smart City. So for me, I'm going to share how we can develop the private-public corporation model, and also in the process how our national pilot city future is going to be unfold. So that could be something that we are going to prospect in this session, in this presentation. So in the history of the city formation, how private and public sectors have been cooperated, and let me explain that. And then I will share the progress of National Pilot City project, and also there is certain promotion system in place. So let me share that, and also I will share the certain recommendations and suggestions for the future of a national pilot city. So this is a history of the city formation. Cities have been responding to the changes of era through the spatial transformation and also various innovation. Recently, cities are responding to the various challenges such as environmental pollution, severe traffic congestion, high crime rate, and safety accident, along with the inequality and polarization. So when it comes to smart city, it is providing the various ICT and big data new technologies. Combining this, smart city is trying to solve those issues and improve the quality of citizens' life. So implementation of smart city is the worldwide trend as far as I know. So how we can promote the smart city is the one that we have been continuously talked about and concerned, because there are a lot of entities in terms of formation of city. Depending on their roles and responsibilities, our future city will be in different shape. So as you know, so there are a lot of people in the cities, and their various lifestyles are also in there. So like this different entities, also different elements or components are there in the city. So in planning and operation of the city, that's is done by the local governments, and also there is urban developers, and also there are service providers who provide various services for the citizens, and also most of all the citizens who are living with the city and breathing in and out of the city. That's the citizens. So they are the main pillar of the city. So with these various entities, how we can create a good city and also operating efficiently and with a quality. So in this process, we have been thinking about this over a long time together. So smart city is not a new concept. It has been used for a long time. Since 2008, we also use U-City. So U-City is also the concept of using the latest technology for city development. So while we are doing the promoted the U-City, we found out that the citizens were not able to feel the effectiveness of new city to cluster to themselves. So with the promotion establishment of smart city promotion, we started the entire this transformation of this project. So each entity focus on their role, and also we have run various projects to encourage every entity to be engaged in our effort. So that's the kind of prime example of the national pilot city. And then designated land, we concentrate all the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, and in the cities, each individual solution is applied. That's not the case. Here in this national pilot city, starting from the land formation, we also set the spatial plan, which will apply the smart city technology. In 2018, 5-1 of the living zone of Sejong City and also Eco City of Busan were chosen as a national pilot city. If we form the city, 40 different smart technologies will be combined. So arguably, it will be the future prime city, smart city. So how we can create this kind of national pilot city as in the other government project, whether we're going to put this for the private public project or just private leading project. So what we chose is that the combination of the two, as I told you before, operating entities such as local governments, urban developers, and service providers and citizens are all engaged together and proceed with this project, because we can secure the public interest of the city, and also we need to also come up with a very innovative and creative plans. In order to make that happen, we need to have all the wisdom and efforts of these entities. So in the planning of the city, we need to make all these services successfully implemented. In that case, urban developers should think about that, and also innovative and creative business model should be also there. So we need the urban developers for that, and also local government should be engaged so that we can secure the public interest for citizens. And during the service operation, we also can accumulate certain service know-how. And after this project, we can also stably operate the city in a desired way. So accordingly, we have a promotion system that's private public, the SPC. As you can see, local governments here, and also public institutions on the right, and also private sector, and also the government, central government is there. So central government is going to provide the support, the legal, institutional, and regulation improvements. So we already selected the preferred the bidder, and also we are now fleshing out the specific plans. After this, the procedure, as I told you before, the basic initiative was there. So above that, on top of that, we will put the innovative, creative services of private sector so that we can create an ideal smart city. So when we have a next Smart City International Forum, I'd like to have an opportunity to share the nice and excellent the SPC leading smart city vision to you. And one of the most important elements in this plan is the living lab for demonstration. Even though those services are excellent, seemingly excellent, but we need to make this practical, and also citizens should feel that it is effective for them. Otherwise, it will be meaningless. So in the process of creating services, engagement of citizens play a critical role. So the services in the national pilot city will undergo the demonstration process with the citizens. So there will be preliminary screening of the services, and also operators and also citizens will find any kind of mistakes and errors in the service, and then there will be trial and error process. After that, we can have a perfect or excellent services in the end. So like last year, since last year, we also started the living lab. So the specific advantages of the Sejong City is that the demonstration services. So you can see that the various services are under the demonstration. So in order to make these services applicable in our city, we need to go through the verification process. So we selected the Living Zone 1 of the Sejong City as for the demonstration projects. So there is a smart cross roads, which allows the real-time traffic congestion, so to improve this traffic flow, and also smart pedestrian walk. So various visual and audio device will be there to protect the pedestrians from the accident. And since this year, SPC private companies will also participate in and the car sharing, autonomous driving, on-demand vehicles, and smart parking and integrated mobility, as well as a PM. So next year, all these services will enter the demonstration phase. And many citizens are now paying attention to or interested in this kind of services. So last year, we already collected the citizens for this. So 125 people are now participating in this service demonstration. Due to COVID-19, we are not able to execute many offline activities, but after after COVID-19 gets better, we're going to have a more offline activities. Though we have only online activities and collecting the ideas from citizens. So through this living lab demonstration and application to the national pilot city, we will help the citizens to see and feel that the services are getting better and improved. It's not oriented on the supplier, rather it is leading by the consumers and users. So far, I have shared the National Pilot City projects and also promotion system with you. So looking forward, how the National Pilot City is going to be formed, maybe it is a meaningful time for you to think about what the National Pilot City is and also how it's going to be formed. I am also the Sejong citizen, and my residential status belongs to the Sejong City. So since last year, I am the team leader of the Smart City Division. So people surrounding me asked how this smart city is going to be formed, how the city is going to get better, and what kind of life we're going to face with the smart city. As a Sejong citizen, I've been very much, expecting a lot about the smart city, and also with a lot of curiosity. So for the future, the modern city, there is no single answer, I guess. So I think this is a kind of ongoing process to define the desired city. So sometimes I'm getting back and replying back to the citizen and asking what kind of city you want to live in. So I believe that the nationalist policy is in the making, in progress. So with the engagement citizens, we can create a live smart city. So as of now, so for the services from the national policy have been created in cooperation with the private sectors. So in this process, we really want to also reflect the citizens' opinion. Even in the discuss of the projects and businesses, we think that citizen engagement is important because it should be practical and serviceable. So we are just ahead of the national policy implementation is just around the corner. So for the next several years, the city is going to be more mature and stable and upgraded. If that is the case, maybe 15 years later, after the national policy project ends, what kind of city we are going to face? You might expect something about this city. So the city that you're going to face will depend on your efforts as a citizen or as an entity and the entire project and entire the system. So in order to remove any kind of inconvenience and difficulties, our government is going to do our best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hana-yoon, the team leader of Smart City. He introduced what the future city will be shaped, and she mentioned that the role of us is important in that regard. And next speaker is Mr. Benjamin In-sang-yu, Vice President of LGCNS. He's going to make a presentation on the sustainable, self-sufficient future city of Sejong. Hello, everyone. I am Yu In-sang from LGCNS. I have prepared today's presentation not as an individual. I have prepared this to suggest a big picture about the future of Sejong City to build a self-sufficient, sustainable future city of Sejong. There are several things that we need to check to build in our journey to build sustainable, self-sufficient city of Sejong. What would be the future and what would be the directions for Sejong and what kind of plans will be required for smart services and going forward. The future self-sustaining city, for the future self-sustaining city, we will need a corresponding industrial ecosystem. What about the open innovation? I'm going to make a presentation on these today. I have met several, the stakeholders, citizens and stakeholders in regard to the establishment of a smart city. And I ask these 4 questions. First, what is your vision? And second question is, what is the main project which is in line with the vision? That's the second question. And there are 2 keywords. One is economic growth, which will be related to the creation of jobs. And second one will be sustainable development, how we can develop this city in a sustainable manner. These are the main two directions and two visions. And second question is about the city-centric direction. The companies who are making products, they need to focus first on the customers, which means that we need to first listen to the needs of citizens because they are consumers. The true smart way is a two-way communication, not one-way communication. Real-time two-way communications should be possible to listen to the opinions of citizens and suggest the possible solutions and answers to the citizens. This whole process should be made in real time. This should be fundamental of a smart city. And third question is about governance. The elected officials are there very busy and making a reasonable decisions is very difficult for them. So to make a reasonable decision, we need citizens and other stakeholders participating in the decision-making process. And the first question is about the local governments and the consortium, the PPP consortium. Land developers have space and the private sector has their capital and technologies, right? These different stakeholders should be combined, they should be harmonized to build a true smart city. So participation of private sector, technology and capital and public organization, they need to form a consortium. In the past, the public companies they bought a land and then they subcontract services to private companies. This is an old model, I think. Now, private and public sectors, from the EPC design and up to the operation stage, all the stakeholders, PPP the private and public sectors should be combined and should be involved from the beginning to the end. And even in Sejong, we will have old capital and then old city downtown and the new city downtown. Of course, the harmony between the two different downtowns will be required as well. So it's been I think the Sejong city is 9 years old, right? The Sejong city first was the project itself was initiated about 9 years ago to renovate the old town. And then later on, they focused on the city participation and participation of citizens. And later, it was about administrative capital. And now we need to focus on our future. What should be the first future of Sejong? That should be self-sufficient city, sustainable self-sufficient city. We have four directions. National policy set for national policy Sejong. First, citizens. When it comes to citizens, we need to make an innovation in the space and everyday life. And second one is data. We need data to grow this city. And third one is sustainability. How we can evolve this city into sustainable and self-sufficient city. And when it comes to creating new jobs, inside the space of Sejong, how we can create such kind of innovative ecosystem, how we can the ecosystem link, how we can link the ecosystem to kind of export advantage. So the innovation, kind of a spatial innovation is the first one. And we should provide innovative services that can be, the experience and felt truly by citizens. People say that we are living in a data era. So in an open data platform, we should converge the public and private data. We have local governments have data, but they do not have enough data. So to establish a data-driven smart city, we need data from private sectors, communications data, transportation data, and financial data. These data should be collected at one point. And based on the data, we can provide intelligent, personalized, and optimized services for consumers, for people, citizens. This way, we can make kind of a virtuous cycle of data. Sejong City is going to take the lead in this regard, and they say about people talk about sustainability. One of the most difficult jobs, people say that in Korea, is changing a design. When we launch a service, the service itself has experiences some difficulties, in and out service difficulties. So SBC will provide about 21 services, and then we pursue to be a service in and out platform city. And in the city, we will make itself a more greener city. So SBC and two stakeholders, and then 13 private companies as shareholders. Overall, 27 companies are involved in this project, and through the open platform, we are going to attract more companies, more foreign companies, of course, to this project. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are starting this project from the scratch. We do not have anything here. So we should start from the beginning. We should create a space, and the basic value of an advanced district should be embracing city. Sharing, connection, and distribution. Actually, sharing and distribution, these are kind of opposite concepts. We should embrace different concepts, different values in this city. This should be the direction of Sejong City. This is the overall landscape of the city, the district. So the SPC bought the land, and then it formulated a design for district to make a combined, a future-oriented city here. Let's talk more about this district. The core value is the mixed use of the district to revitalize the community in the area. And the bottom left, we had district with different districts. However, separate districts. However, as you can see, we are going to mix the different uses of blocks and to to strengthen the networks of different districts. And second, through smart innovation, we are going to overcome the physical limitations of conventional city districts. And on the bottom left, pedestrians should be centered in this regard, so the citizens can freely move. That will be a safe city. Then this way we can innovate the spatial and spatial value. And third one is a sustainable, eco-friendly city. Street-centric centered city floor and energy independence rate of about 40%. So on the left side, you can see a comprehensive plan map. There can be a minor change. However, overall, we will have a venture startup zones and of course residential facilities. On the right side, as you can see, it is kind of a city planning for mixed use. This is unprecedented plan. If the residential area and then the innovation area are separated, then we cannot think of kind of convergence between the two. However, we are going to converge the uses of different blocks. As I mentioned, we are going to implement 21 services. Based on the new technologies and data, we are going to provide a new kind of life-enhancing services, kind of mainly three services. Okay, data-driven city, then citizen-centric city, and sustainable city in the post-COVID-19 era, utilizing non-contact technologies. And 5G and Wi-Fi 6 will be the main communication framework for this city. And upon the platform and the IoT or AI, it will be available, of course. And as I said, we will have the all one city platform as a city hub platform. And on the right side, okay, we are going to provide 21 services. On the right side, 18 services will be provided by the public organizations. So let me, as examples, let me tell you about two services. There are many people who need to commute from Seoul to here. And you will have many apps on your mobile phones, like a KDX or Kakao Talk or other transportation service apps. So if you are a Sejong citizens, if we can use just a single app for your commuting from Seoul to here, that will be wonderful. That will be much more convenient. If the service is implemented well, operated well in a city, that will be wonderful. So this is an example. So as you say, as I mentioned, all one link, this service will be provided for Sejong cities. Okay, let me talk about more about mobility. You can reserve your transportation using our link. You can reserve the train to go to the Seoul. You first go to the shared parking lot, and you can use the car sharing service there. And you can park the vehicle you rented to KTX station, and you take the KTX train and you go to Seoul and return to here. When you return here, you may reserve some highway bus and then take BRT to get here from Osong Station. And then last, you can take a walk. You can reserve all these services. You can make a payment just using this single app or link. This will be available very soon, I believe. And COVID-19 era. We are living in a COVID-19 in the post-COVID-19 era. Okay, now you are using many delivery services like a coupon. In the non-contact service era, if we have infectious disease like COVID-19, okay, we will have in Sejong City we will have about 3,400 residential places here. You are busy as a citizen. You can just use an app to use your services to place an order for your service or for your goods. With the Parago or other Korean companies, we can provide various services. You don't need to own your own vehicle because thanks to this delivery service. Yes, you can use this service at home. And second, if you do not own a vehicle, you may wonder how you can get the goods that you order. You don't need to visit the mart. This is kind of integrated delivery service. As you can see in the picture of the slide number 3, the smart locker service. All the goods that you have ordered will be stored in this locker, and then you can just pick all the goods from here. To grow the industrial ecosystem, the LG is one of the representative, the private companies leading this project. LG has provided support for the promising startups so far. So in Sejong, we are going to also start launching our project tube support the startups. SPC was not from the ad. However, LG selected two middle schools in Sejong for AI education. This is part of a local education programs. We have introduced this already to Seoul. However, we are going to introduce this same service to Sejong as well. Okay, financial institutions, Sinhan and KB, they are also shareholders of this project. To grow private companies and to support startups, of course, we need capital. We need financial resources. So with these financial institutions, we are going to run a Sejong Innovative Center, Sejong Innovative Hub. Okay, data will be available for these companies, and then we are going to support directly to startups. We are going to attract capitals, of course, from these financial institutions for those startups. And smart healthcare services. Smart healthcare services are very critical among out of the 21 services. Together with the Sejong Chungnam University Hospital, we signed an MOU to provide a data-driven, future-oriented smart healthcare service. So together with the local hospital, we are going to implement this project. All is this possible because this national policy project is being implemented thanks to the regulatory sandbox. In Sejong, Neighbor started this construction to build a huge data center. The data about Sejong, data about operation of Sejong can be stored in this data center. So Naver is also a shareholder of this consortium. So the Naver's data center, called COC, will be also utilized for Sejong. So Sejong, and then this way we can maximize the synergy between SPC and the Naver's data center. And then cooperation among citizen, academy, and industry. This cooperation is very important. And we are going to attract our other stakeholders, of course, other the private companies. And the city itself should be a true test bed. So District 5-1 and other regions in the city should serve as a test bed. And the financial institutions like KB and the Sinan is going to establish their own branches in the Sejong so that they can launch the future-oriented financial services for the first time in Korea. And then the global number one and number two global logistics companies are going to launch their innovative services in Sejong. On the right side, okay, as I said, the SPC was not established yet. However, we are going to form the establish soon, and we are going to work with other main leading stakeholders like major universities for intensive cooperation. For instance, KAIST, we signed an MOU with KAIST and Chungbuk University, Chungnam University. We will extend and we will strengthen cooperation with these renowned universities. And open innovation. Globally, you may wonder besides Sejong, what is the main leading smart cities globally? And there are many trials across the world to build a smart city. On the left side, Dallas, US, and then Fujisawa SST in Japan. The last smart city in the U.S., they have a wide range of partners, as you can see. The global companies and the top local companies, the best players gathered for this smart city. This is a true collaboration with the different leaders. Through the collaboration, they can generate synergy. And on the right side, Fujisawa SST, it was a kind of the abandoned factory of Panasonic. The location is about 1 to 3 hours from the Tokyo. So we are going to they renovated the abandoned factory. And this project was led by Panasonic, and then Mitsui Real Estate and Samsung Real Estate, they cooperate as well. And CCC is a kind of life and living company because this kind of life living service is very critical. They also joined the project. CCC is leading the kind of new lifestyle services. In Hanam, near Seoul, you know that there is a big mall there called the Starfield, and thanks to the Starfield, the region created new jobs. So Sejong City is going to introduce this kind of services, this kind of for citizens. What about Sejong now? What is the current status of Sejong? Who are with the Sejong now? The LG Group and Sinan Financial Services and KB Financial Services, asset management companies and facility management companies, Aegis Assets Management Company, and for smart home, LG Electronics is with us. And as I mentioned, KAIST and Sejong Chungnam University Hospital and Health Connector, healthcare companies. These are main shareholders of this consortium. 921 is a startup company. Because of their insufficient capital, they cannot join this consortium directly. However, regarding the mobility, they are also cooperating with us, even if they are startup. And level 4. Currently, level 4 autonomous service is available in Seoul. 42 Dot is a company invested by LG and Hyundai, and the company is going to launch its service in Sejong as well. And O1 Consortium, it was approved last week. The private companies, before establishment of an SBC, we have kind of a shuttle service in Sejong. So even before establishment of an SBC, the private companies is going to launch the services, require the services. It will be a preparation to advance the service. This one? What will be the best practices of a smart city globally? Last year, many people said that Toronto, initiated by Google, because Google is a global company. Last year, because of COVID-19, Google withdrew the project. There are many regions. I cannot tell all the regions here. And second one is Toyota. Toyota announced this project near Fuji Mountain. Is called Ubon City. They are going to renovating in the old factory. And then they are going to also launch the autonomous service because they acquired a company. And starting from 2017, Hangzhou in China, Alibaba is now providing various services in Hangzhou, and they are also exporting those services to the Middle East. So Woven City by Toyota, it is much like a test bed city. What would be main differences of these different projects? Okay. Toyota's Woven City is a testbed city. However, Sejong National Pilot City is not simply a testbed. We have residency here. So this will be an open innovation city. So compared to Hangzhou, China, in Sejong we can see kind of spatial innovation, everyday life innovation in Sejong. So many people across the world who are involved in smart cities will visit Sejong. And I truly hope that this forum can grow further as a true international smart city forum. So we have these visions, and I have introduced you some details of the projects and how the life of citizens will be changed. I have mentioned all of this. The last slide, what kind of services will be required? That is the primary question, of course. Okay, this footprint here is when Neil Armstrong landed. Okay, it's a kind of footprint of the Neil Armstrong on the moon. He said that's one small step for man, but one giant leap for mankind. This is a huge kind of change for the mankind. This will be a huge leap for mankind. The same goes for smart city. I think smart city was first mentioned across the world about back in 2016. Not just the innovation or a trial city. We are pursuing more organized, well-prepared smart city, and we are now on the right track. To this end, we have changed, modified relevant regulations and laws, and the private and public sectors are cooperating for this one, and the total budget for this project is about 3 trillion Korean won. This is a unique case. We should make a success story for sure in this city. And that will make all the citizens of Sejong happier, of course. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Managing Director Yoo In-sang, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. So in order to renew the Sejong City as the world best class, the smart city, we have a long journey. So what kind of strategy we need to have? That was explained in his presentation. We feel that this project is going to be a success. And with the profound we are going to invite Professor Chung Jung-gyu for his presentation. Since due to COVID-19, he's not attending offline, so we are having him online. So please welcome him.
The discussions of the smart city epitomize a new paradigm shift in urban planning and cities in general. The smart city plan obviously requires smart technologies and infrastructure to succeed. However, the ultimate goal of smart city plan should draw attention on a holistic and harmonious city building approach to recuperate the areas in need. It particularly weighs on social, cultural, historical, and environmental and technical or technological dimensions of urban space that are often neglected of the physical and economic growth and restoration. By taking a further critical reflection on the smart city, smart urban development, I argue for the need for unfolding a creative engagement with citizens and their workings with new smart technologies, infrastructure, and governance, in embracing the diverse perspectives and opportunities of living in the smart cities, which I consider as smart engagement. I understand it is not a completely new concept for the Sejong city. Based on what I have witnessed from the presentations in the forum, readings, the implementation plan for Sejong Smart City, and also from my own experience to visit Sejong. I co-led a study abroad trip to Korea with Gonhwa-oh Department of Geography at University of Washington, where I am, in summer 2019 for the Mapping Communities in the Smart City seminar. The goal was to see what smart city and technology means on the ground. Learning firsthand about the smart city and seeing the real examples of the smart, as you can see, including smart poles in the park in Sejong. We visited Busan, Songdo International District in Incheon, and Sejong as well. It was a great experience. I was particularly impressed at that time by the Sejong's effort to establish a smart governance to draw more participation from the citizens, which was quite distinctive from other cities' approaches to smart city development in Korea. I want to further argue for ever stronger efforts to channel the creativities of ordinary urban dwellers into smart cities as a way move toward building smart community and smart digital citizenship. Technologies are the foundation of smart cities. ICT, camera, sensors, Internet of Things, computers, maps, GIS. Even newer smart technologies are being implemented in the Sejong Smart City Plan, as you can see here. Big data, cloud, AI, blockchain, digital twins. It is important to understanding how these new digital smart technologies and infrastructures become pervasive and interconnected and are also embedded in urban space and people's everyday life. In general understanding of smart cities, it provides a technical or technological, digital, and smart solution to urban problems or issues. So make cities more responsive, efficient, sustainable, and safe. New visions of smart cities are created and realized. Often work with large corporations like IBM, Cisco, Google, and Microsoft. We will see Google's, more specifically Sidewalk Labs, vision of smart city in Toronto waterfront. In Seattle metropolitan region, we are seeing Microsoft version of smart city in Redmond, Washington, installing over 30,000 Betty sensors spread across the 500 acres campus, over 60 million budget. It exemplifies new possibilities and challenges of smart city. More smart city models have been built, including Sejong's own. As a result, a new global urban hierarchy seems to be created. Smart city versus less or not smart cities. Uneven distribution and implementation of the smart city ideologies, practices, and technologies across the city, region, and the world create unequal geography of smart cities its impact is also trickle down to the neighborhood and community level. Smart communities versus less or not smart communities. Smart city, as we all know, is a combination of two words, smart on the left and city on the right. But I wonder if our focus has been heavily on smart, but not much on cities in smart city discussion though. From a smart city perspective, a city seems to be a set of information, data, and manageable systems that act in rational, mechanical, linear, and systematic ways. The extreme case city as a computer. From an urban planning perspective, and also based on our experience because we are living in the city, we however know that cities have a full culture, politics, competing interests, and even wicked problems and tensions. And they are complex and ever evolving, full of independent or interdependent, contingent and relational actors, processes, and relationships. Cities are also difficult to predict and develop in capricious ways. So to me, it is a question of urban, indeed smart urbanism, as the way and mode of life, attitude, values, and patterns of behavior fostered in smart urban life and setting. So for example, Rob Kitchen presented a promise of smart urbanism, as you can see in the slide, with 6 components. I also see Sejong's 7 innovation factors that constitute Sejong's smart urbanism, namely mobility, healthcare, education, governance, culture and shopping, job, energy, and environment, and also, I believe, combination of all 7 factors. Responding to smart urbanism, Saskia Sassen once argued that urbanism, and we can actually include smart urbanism here, must be crowdsourced and, interesting word, hacked. It must be rethought from palatial perspective by putting people and place in the heart of urban planning. To me, it speaks for the importance of creating interconnected places where the city and its citizens talk back and forth and back each other. Smart urbanism enhances the engagement with citizens and improves the way the smart city includes citizens on policy and urban planning process. As an example, you can see here, Setter's hackathon, sharing for public-private data together is a great example for that. So one of the key points I want to make here is that we need a smart city planning based on a more nuanced and relational understanding of cities. For example, how can we proactively think about our own vision of smart urbanism? For whom and for what purposes should smart cities be developed? Are there benefits for certain population or areas of the city and not for other people and space? What about significant urban problems that are left out of traditional smart city models, such as marginalizing communities, failing of school and health system, urban poverty, crime, gentrification, lack of housing, unaffordable housing, displacement, jobs, and so on? How can smart cities create more democratic and even emancipatory and participatory smart governance? Different motivations and visions are embedded in different smart city model. Urban imaginations of the future city seems to be already realized, materialized in Sejong, and I see a clear vision. As you can see in the slide, Sejong Smart City is building a harmonious and happy city for everyone, including often underrepresented people like children, women, the elderly people. Sejong Smart City promotes a balanced development between urban and rural, as well as the old and new city centers, which I consider as smart urban regeneration. I witnessed this by visiting again Sejong in 2019 and also Jocheon, particularly near the Jocheon station. Continuing focusing on inclusion and equity in the smart city, I'd like to turn to examining the foundational tension in the smart city. Innovations and new development are key to the smart cities models of urban development, and they rely on phenomena such as the creative economy, R&D, research and development, entrepreneur talent, technical innovation, and startup, etc. This approach sets in play political economic processes that make it harder for many disadvantaged and marginalized urban residents to live in the smart city or to live well in the smart city. Series example. We are routinely in the top of rankings of the smartest smart city in North America, rankings that evaluate the density of sustainability initiative, tech startups, open data initiative, and ability to attract creative and entrepreneur talent. The picture shows the Amazon headquarters, their promotion of the smart sustainability. Yet, in parallel with the developments and efforts to create an equitable smart city, Seattle has also become one of the least affordable cities in the US. We are in the midst of the worst shelter city crisis in the city's history, with unprecedented numbers of homeless people living on the street, low-income families, the elderly, the racial minorities forced to leave the city in high numbers because of housing and living costs. To build an equitable smart city, so these are one of the two cases I want to share, one in Seattle, the other one is in Detroit. Smart Seattle project is launched by a collaboration of the city, King County Metro, Microsoft, and the University of Washington. It characterizes Seattle's smart city, which had charted a little bit different course from other US cities in terms of enabling the collective power of millions smart decisions in real time, including the everyday citizens. As you can see, which I highlighted in the purple line, the plan enabled the collective power of the people. So it's part of the smart governance. Innovation Advisory Council, for example, addresses the city's priority areas of homelessness, affordability, mobility, and delivery of basic services using a lens of race and social justice. Equity areas are identified, and then the focus are given to those areas. So on the map on your right side, the orange area is that equity area, City of Seattle identified. As an example of creative and critical citizen-led technology-enhanced urban management and efforts, the Detroit Community Technology Project demonstrates another powerful case. It aims to create technology rooted in community needs that strengthen neighbors' connection to each other. It showcases what a digital community platform would be for enhancing of community participation and how the smart city support those who believe technology as something that can stimulate and amplify the abilities of citizens and communities. There are two primary projects are called one data justice program, the other one equitable internet initiative. Data justice project holds actually very interesting idea that the conflation between surveillance, security, and safety might not have necessarily made communities safe. So the idea is that the project understands that in order to create true safety, we must strengthen interpersonal connections, resources, and opportunities within our communities, on and offline. Working with data-driven Detroit to gather and house data, an interactive map like this Project Green Light map is created displaying the location of project participants sourced from the City of Detroit's open data portal. So this is basically a ground-up version of the community asset map produced and consumed by the citizens. The Equitable Internet Initiative, EII, supports historically marginalized residents to build and maintain neighborhood-governed internet infrastructure that fosters accessibility, consent, safety, and resilience. So Detroit has been one of the country's worst connected cities since 2015. 30% of homes have no internet, 63% of low income have no broadband, over 70% of school-age children have no internet access at home. So Equitable Internet Initiative is trying to create a healthy digital ecosystem that allows the communities to fully realize their right to communicate, participate, and fully engage in all areas of society. All of these examples from Smart Theater, Detroit Community Technology Project, show us that there is an important role for active and participatory digital citizenship in smart cities. They regard the engaging with citizens living in the city as essential to smart city making. They also value technology as a way to make citizens and communities be smart or even smarter, yet also recognize the importance of sociality, spatiality, ties, relationship existing in community context. Sejong is leading the way, I admit. I'm keenly aware of Sejong's innovative Living Lab process as an outstanding user-driven smart city platform, for example. Sejong can catalyze a creative digital engagement with the citizens through this already established smart governance and engagement infrastructure. They can also lead to create an ideal smart community. A community that values technology as a way to be smart, but recognizes, again, sociality, spatiality, urbanism, community ties, relationship, digital stewardship as central to city structure and also even emotional attachment to urban place. That's how we unbind the potential of smart engagement with ordinary citizens. I'm so grateful to the forum organizers and all participants for giving us such an important opportunity for this transnational learning and conversation about smart city development with an exemplary case of city of Sejong. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us with this wonderful presentation. Professor Chung Jung-gyu set the ultimate goal of the smart city with his insights. Next speaker is also going to join in online. So the Living Labs and Sustainable Smart Cities examples from the European ecosystems. The chairperson of European Network of Living Labs, Fernando Villario, is going to present. Please meet him.
Thank you very much. Hello and good morning to all the participants in the event. It's my honor and pleasure to share with you during the following minutes my vision and also a number of examples from the European Network of Living Labs and all. With regards to the sustainable and smart city, I advance that I will pay particular attention to the citizen engagement processes as well. First of all, kindly let me start with a short introduction of myself. I work in this building, the Computer Vision Center, a building hosting 130 people devoted to research and technology transfer in computer vision, the branch of artificial intelligence dealing with images and video. We have now 50 PhD theses ongoing, and we work with the main leading stakeholder worldwide in autonomous driving, medical imaging, object recognition, biometrics, face detection, and recognition as well, etc. In summary, in this building, we teach computers how to see as humans see. But beyond successful competitive projects in research and capacity building, we also have a strong source of revenue in private companies and have an intense approach to technology transfer. As Associate Director of the Computer Vision Center, I participate in the definition of the Computer Vision Alliance in Catalonia, our ecosystem of computer vision stakeholders. This is relevant since computer vision is the tip of the arrow of the artificial intelligence industry in Catalonia, Spain. And it is the field with the largest economical growth and added value so far. We are using computer vision as the starting point for the development of our regional strategy for artificial intelligence. In addition, Barcelona has been appointed by the Spanish government as reference city for the Spanish national strategy as well. Finally, I'm the founder of the Let Us Say Life project, the Library Living Lab, a space in a public library in the metropolitan area of Barcelona, where to explore how technology transforms the cultural experience of people. It could look now that this profile is leading to a technological approach to innovation processes, though this is not fully correct. The transformation is societal. An example of this is that the Library Living Lab has led to the creation of the BiblioLab program, a network of experimentation spaces, more than 230, that transforms the actual role of the public space in a place for knowledge sharing and experimentation. In other words, the Library Living Lab has made possible a transition of more than 230 public libraries in the province of Barcelona from repositories of books into places for open innovation to happen through citizen engagement. I will have a few more words about this project later on. During the last years, I had the pleasure and honor of being the elected president of the European Network of Living Labs, ENOL. My organization aims at supporting our members and all the living labs in the world for the development of citizen-centric, multi-stakeholder innovation initiatives. We facilitate knowledge exchange, capacity building, actions, and joint action project partnerships. And we actively work towards influencing UE policies, promoting our labeled living labs and all the living labs. The annual labeling process is a certification of the maturity of a living lab initiative, and it has maximum quality standards. Historically, more than 470 living labs have obtained the annual label. As you can see in the map, we have different living labs, members of annual in Asia too. I'm happy to say as well that recently a number of living labs from Korea have participated in the labeling process as well, and we are looking forward to have more Korean living labs, also from SEJONG. The picture shows a global phenomenon, and we are proud to be able to participate as a relevant reference point. We have intense collaboration, as I said, with the Korean ecosystem, and I have had the opportunity to engage with different actors through my role in ENOL. ENOL has currently 3 relevant Korean living labs as members of the network, Busan Network of Living Labs, born in the context of IoT in Busan City, Daegu Creativity City Forum Living Lab, and Smart Safety Living Lab in Ansan and Hwasong. ENOL has signed Memorandum of Understanding with CLIT, the Korean Local Information Research and Development Institute, and WeGo Institution, a network of cities for e-government with relevant leading role from Seoul. Finally, I also had the pleasure to collaborate with the following institutions in different events and actions in Korea: the Busan IT Industry Promotion Agency, the Busan Center for Creative Economy and Innovation, and our colleagues and friends from the Korean branch of the Friedrich Neumann Foundation for Freedom, who developed active fostering of the Living Lab model together with Korean partners. This led to a number of initiatives for exchange of the European and Korean visions for the smart city processes, particularly centered in citizen engagement components in innovation actions. Living labs are about innovation, open innovation ecosystems, and the vision that we promote in ENOL is centered in the engagement of the citizens as actors and not factors of the transformations to happen during the digital transformation. The multi-stakeholder approach implies development of the 4 Ls: academia, government, industry, and citizens. There is also a component of sustainability of development in the territory, and for that reason, I usually mention the multiple Ls approach. These building blocks allow for a number of common features that are shared by all living labs. First, a real-life setting, a hospital, a public library, a road, accessible to users, and not just a lab within a company or within the university walls. Second, active user involvement, which is key for the actual development of real-life settings. Next, multi-stakeholder participation, meaning the integration or the 4 Ls within the innovation process. Implicit to the former is a multi-method approach, which allows for cross-fertilization. These features implies the need of a co-creation process as well, with distributed responsibilities among all the stakeholders. And finally, a needed component of orchestration. Certainly, all these features will have different weighting depending on the typology of the project and eventually a stronger focus in one or several dimensions. But the general structure described is valid as a first approach to living labs, as we understand them. I will have the chance to provide you with several concrete examples. But the context of this approach is provided by the digital transformation. The digital transformation is not only a neo-industrial transformation, it's an actual human transformation. The connectivity that the internet provides with allows for potential access to all the available human knowledge for all the people. In the years to come, the borders between the institutions will blur. New jobs will appear, others will disappear, and this will take place at a pace never seen before. This requires an agile response from the institutions. In our last Open Living Lab days in Geneva, the Undersecretary General of United Nations, Michael Murray, shared that the challenges that we are facing cannot be tackled by one institution alone, and I cannot agree more. And it is here in the multi-stakeholder approach of the Living Labs that we have to focus making sense from user-centric perspective, from a citizen-centric perspective, from a human perspective. The corollary is that now innovation and social transformation are happening hand in hand. In all, we have developed 5 action-oriented task forces to be led by our effective members and open to externals, to focus on actual challenges from an action perspective. Using our Living Labs as an already existing infrastructure for innovation, these action-oriented task forces are social innovation and digital rights, social impact of artificial intelligence, health and well-being, energy and environment, and rural Living Labs. In the further slides, I will explain how these 5 dimensions can be deployed in the context of the smart city by paying particular attention to the citizen engagement component. The action-oriented task force on social innovation and digital rights is focused on facilitating the collaboration of all these innovative networks addressing social issues, housing, health, skills, education, at the grassroots level, territory by territory, generating synergies from the local to the European and global level. For instance, colleagues in Bristol, UK, are leading the development of innovation actions in the field of affordable housing. This has a profound digital dimension since all our data are now part of our identity. And for that reason, the Lab for Digital Citizenship in Barcelona is developing a chart for digital rights. Our colleagues in Basque Country and Greece are using gamification for addressing such problems too. The opportunity here is to understand social innovation as a city task and Living Labs as the tools for its explicit development. One example of Living Lab in this context is the Collaboratory in Catalonia, Spain. This is aiming at designing a layer of social technologies. This is complementing the hard technologies, 5G, IoT, AI, and in this case, these social technologies are based on Living Lab methods and tools, allowing for the interconnection of the different labs of the territory around one specific challenge. The territory, both public administration and academia, citizens and companies, contribute to a common challenge as a distributed infrastructure for social innovation. In this particular case, the social challenge is the transformation of the socioeconomic tissue in the context of the new green hydrogen source of energy. We see here that there is an element of transversality in the different task forces, for instance, linking social innovation with energy and environment. But the key here is that the innovation process proposed affects all the ecosystem and needs systemic social transformation, not only new industrial developments. AI is everywhere in our lives, but strong concerns exist regarding appropriate use of it. We need regulatory sandboxes to understand not only how to produce and use AI, but also its impact in job profiles, education, economy, mobility, etc. 2 hubs in Brussels and Taiwan and a network of libraries in Barcelona are working in the definition of trustworthy AI using their Living Labs as testing facilities. The citizens will have the possibility to participate in the debate and the decision-making of the technologies to be developed. In the Smart City Expo last 2019, this task force moderated a panel, which type of AI we want for our cities. In the context of this annual action-oriented task force, our colleagues in Epica Lab in Barcelona, Badalona, Spain, are using performing arts as a very original way of approaching these new technologies to the citizens by engaging them in actual issues that AI puts on the table. Our colleagues in Thessaloniki, Greece, are the leaders of the working group in mobility, in which they are deploying in the city the new tools for the autonomous car. This will represent an enormous change in the type of mobility that we will enjoy in our cities and will affect all the citizens from the minute zero. Finally, another example of the mentioned systemic transformation can be related to the Library Living Lab in Barcelona, Spain, which has explored how technology transforms the cultural experience of people. As I mentioned, it has contributed to the transformation of more than 230 public libraries in the Barcelona region by changing the role of the public space from a repository of books to a place for people to gather and exchange their knowledge, developing innovation actions with the new demonstrators obtained from the research centers, and become scientists through projects of citizen science. Citizen science appears itself as an excellent vehicle for citizen engagement in research and innovation actions. Particularly, during this last year, we felt the dramatic relevance of the need for a resilient society in terms of health and well-being. The main idea is to go from patient to protagonist. The future universal health systems will not be only for the treatment of illnesses, but for the development of healthy life and to support our well-being. This is the key element for the sustainability of the business models as well. The role of patients and their families will be most relevant since the co-creation of these new universal health systems implies the redefinition of the roles and the assumption of responsibilities. The horizon of the silver economy provides a basis for the global transformation of our system. As an example, I will show 4 completely different approaches of living labs in the national context of Spain. Healthcare Living Lab Catalonia approaches the health systems as a place allowing startups to develop their new products and services and using the hospital premises as a place for these innovations to be tested and deployed. Lab Saudi Living Lab in Galicia, my hometown, my home region, promoted by the Regional Health Service, explores the use of private-public procurement tools, in which both the public administration and SMEs take the risk for developing innovative solutions for citizens. This is an open innovation environment where the citizen-centric perspective is taken into the consideration for the public administration innovation. Irsicacha Living Lab developed a project in North Barcelona in order to support all the dimension of AIDS patients, including their social inclusion, their specific needs for well-being, with a strong component of evidence-based decisions provided thanks to the collaboration with universities and research centers. Research appears here as the seed for impactful innovation. Finally, Alacén in Pamplona co-creates together with the families of the patients with brain damage novel solutions that are not only limited to the therapy, but also to all the aspects of their day-by-day life. This is integrated by the government as a relevant source of evidence for the adaptation of routes, services, processes, etc. These 4 examples show the dramatic adaptability of the Living Lab approach, focusing on different dimensions depending on the main aims of the stakeholders. Our cities cannot be understood without the rural component, the necessary component for the natural sustainability and, simply, one of the main resources and sources for food. We are currently working from 2 different perspectives: the digital capacity building for citizens of rural areas and the use of the Living Lab approach for the agri-food life cycle. Our colleagues in Andalusia, Spain, have transformed their network of internet access points into a public infrastructure of connected buildings where the citizens of rural areas can go to develop their digital capacities through formal and non-formal training. They also transform the role of economic dynamization agent into the role of regional innovation agent, helping the citizens in the development of innovation actions and facilitating the access for innovation-related public grants. The result is a connected ecosystem of rural areas addressing common innovation challenges. On the other hand, our colleagues of Serbia have been working in the concept of precision agriculture, and all is now leading the task within the project already that is helping the European Commission to conceptualize how living labs can provide a significant quantitative leap in the integration of citizens of rural areas and food producers in the farm-to-fork cycle, and to define how pilots can be designed and deployed in rural areas. Last but not least, smart cities must have a pillar for energy, understanding all the dimensions of energy generation and consumption. Energy and environment are profoundly linked to each other. Our colleagues in Switzerland are developing a program in which living labs are used to co-create the new habits for energy consumption, developing services that are suited for that. Innovate for Cities is a city-focused research and innovation initiative that addresses critical data, innovation, and technological gaps to enable cities to take accelerator and more ambitious climate actions. This is co-developed by cities, city networks, scientists and research institutions, and leading private sector entities. The initiative focuses on the areas most critical to drive climate action in cities. One of the challenges that we are facing ahead is the proper training in order to facilitate these behavioral changes. For this reason, ENOL has been developing its Learning Lab during the past years, and we are extending the program throughout all the year so that the community members and externals can be helped to increase the learning curve on living lab methods and tools. This behavioral change can only be achieved through a proper consolidation of the competences needed. And I insist in this emphasis. We need the capacity building development in order to apply these methods and tools already explained. Our cities will have to have a strong invest in capacity building, since all the methods and tools needed for these cooperative efforts to arrive to a successful goal have to be developed by the community leaders with the right skills, promoters and worthy of trust, with the right understanding of governance models and the business models required. New governance models and new business models required. In ENOL, we are humbly contributing to this through our capacity building program, in which it is its members, the members of the Living Lab community, who are sharing their experience with the new Living Labs, academics and public institutions. Capacity building is the only way forward in order to create innovation-led growth and positive social transformation. If you are willing to know more about Living Labs, I invite you to visit the ENOL website. We have gathered a comprehensive collection of learning materials and tools, research papers, and project portfolio. Please have a look if you are interested in that. And in addition to it, as a reference point, every year we are having our digital Living Lab days, the gathering occasion for all our community and all the externals, our conference. I warmly invite you to attend to the digital Living Lab days, which will take place during the second week of September of 2021. You are very much welcome. All the aforementioned vision is compiled in a collection, in a collective creation, together with other institutions, which is our manifesto for innovation in Europe. You can access to that also through our website. I invite you to visit it, and we wanted to have it a live document, as we have a live community for Living Labs, consolidating strong views and suggestions for actions, but also with flexibility and dynamically adaptation to the transformations that come in our society. Please feel free to join us and to contact us if you really wanted to know more about the examples of the European Network of Living Labs. And do not hesitate to send us any comment or questions. Thank you very much.
안녕하세요. 2021 세종 스마트시티 국제 포럼 제2세션 패널 토론 좌장을 맡은 바이브 컴퍼니 스마트시티 연구소장 안창원이라고 합니다. 이 제2세션은 민관 협력 기반 개방형 혁신 플랫폼을 주제로 하고 있습니다. 오늘 네 분의 귀한 패널 분들과 함께 시민과 함께 만드는 스마트시티라는 주제로 이야기를 나눠보는 시간을 가지도록 하겠습니다. COVID-19으로 인해
Due to COVID-19, social distancing or the remote conferencing have become commonplace. However, more than ever, collaboration with the citizens or with the international community is important now. So we have invited distinguished panelists for this session. Before we start our discussion, please introduce yourself. First, Sung Ji-won, please introduce yourself. Hello, everyone. It's great to see you all. I am senior researcher at Science and Technology Policy Institute. I am now project director of Korea Living Lab. And Mr. Choi Dong-yeol. Hello, everyone. I am the leader of the Smart City construction team. I'm in charge of actual establishment of the smart city infrastructure. Thank you very much. And Chang Min-ju, please introduce yourself. Hello, everyone. I work for the Smart City Department of Sejong City. So I'm in charge of the Sejong Smart City construction project. I'm very delighted to be here. Thank you. And the last speaker is Mr. Fernando Vallerino. Please introduce yourself.
온라인으로 저희와 함께 하실
So Mr. Ballerino is joining us online. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Fernando Vilariño. I am Associate Director of the Computer Vision Center, Associate Professor at the Universidad Autónoma de Barcelona, Spain, and I'm the elected President of the European Network of Living Labs and all.
네, 감사합니다. 모두
Thank you very much. Despite your busy schedule, we have this wonderful panelists. Thank you very much. So now we're going to enter the panel discussion for Jay's session in full swing. So first of all, I'd like to ask question. So ask question to the Professor Fernando Villarino. So the network, Living Lab network effectiveness is not the lining of the various Living Lab. Rather, the Living Labs are accumulating the universal models with the connection analysis. Do you have any kind of prime example? For example, related to COVID-19, do you have any various attempts made by the Europe's Living Lab model and also any accumulated results?
Kamsanida, thank you very much. Yes, particularly during the year 2020, we had the chance to globally share most terrible episodes of our existence between worldwide with the impact of the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus and its disease COVID-19. The virulence and the speed in which this pandemic hit our communities in our case, made necessary an agile response of the institutions. And the Living Lab community showed a high profile in delivering innovative actions in short time. Probably I can present 6 cases that in which the community reacted. And these 6 cases have been collected also in our website of Venom in the COVID-19 webinars series that we have done during the last year. First of all, Living Labs and the maker community had an intense response during the COVID-19 crisis. During the first weeks, you can remember, of the pandemic, there was a strong need of respirators and masks, and the network of Ateneus of Fabricación, particularly in Barcelona, Fab Labs in Barcelona, were able to coordinate a process for citizens' initiatives. They were coordinators of citizen actions in printing. So over 3,000 face shields were created in collaboration with the community of makers in Barcelona. This same pattern was replicated also worldwide within the maker community. For instance, the Halls Institution of Catalan Healthcare Living Lab designed an emergency ventilator, co-created, in which components were simplified to the maximum. Universities from Castellón and Library Living Lab also donated their 3D printing infrastructures in order to develop the 3D printing actions. Another example, government and citizen engagement related to the confinement and beyond. We advanced the pandemic in order to control the movements of the individuals and the people, right? So, for instance, Taiwan Living Lab was able to develop here in Asia to develop technological tools in order to have efficient measurements of the mobility, oriented to have an understanding and a modeling of citizen displacements during the highest point of the pandemic, and SMEs contributing to the agile design, quick agile design of these solutions. Another example is the reaction to the emergency of the health systems. National and regional health systems suffered most striking moments in the highest stress of the pandemic. For instance, the network of test beds and Living Labs from the EIT Health reported deploying a matchmaking solution for innovators, like a hackathon, right, for innovations in very, very short time. Our universities also changed a lot, and higher education systems worldwide have experienced an accelerating push towards online teaching and digital tools, more even than other institutions in the world. For instance, the Media Lab Living Lab in Granada, Andalusia, has coordinated 2 specific actions, and I close with this. On the one hand, the orchestration of labs working in different universities in order to create public innovation, all together organizing a network, as I was mentioning, for social innovation in my slides. And finally, SMEs in Europe coordinated together in order to have social responses, particularly in Florence, Italy, in order to reduce the costs of the different companies for co-working and co-hosting, etc. These are just a number of examples that we have been reported and worked together in the European Network of Living Labs.
네, 감사합니다. 사실 코비드-19는
Thank you very much for your comment. Actually, COVID-19 has brought a huge change, a massive shift in our society. So to respond to this massive change and shift, many countries and companies are experiencing many things. What is important now is that now we need to accumulate the result of such experiments to advance our society, advance our country. The second question goes to researcher Song Ji-eun. In Korea, and I heard that there is a Korean-style living lab. Can please introduce you about the living lab network in Korea, the current status, and what are the improvements that the network has now and the future directions? Okay, thank you very much for your question. I am the senior researcher at the Science and Technology Policy Institute, and I started my research starting from the 2010. And we formed a Korean network of living labs called KNR. And now, living lab is one of the buzzwords here in Korea, not only in this city, but nationwide. So I visited many provinces and regions to talk about KNR. And then I formed the Living Lab network in Busan, Gwangju, Jeollabdo, and Daejeon as well. It was those were the regional Living Lab network, and we also collaborated with the universities. And we formed a university network. And last year, we formed the Smart City Network. And this year, we have a plan to form a care network. In my activities related to Living Lab, I believe this should be, it requires collaboration among academy, private companies, and public organizations. We need the private sectors because it is about changing our society, right? The main leaders, the leaders of each field should be involved in this living network. So I thought that we needed to make more practical cases. The practical cases that meet the needs of the field. In each region, we can develop the main players for the science and engineering field, and then when it comes to innovation, innovation should go together with the final end user. And there should be a collaboration and communication between the end user and the innovators. So starting from last year, the Living Lab and the Gender Forum, one of my core agenda has been and has covered even women. Women are very interested in the Living Lab, and they are eager to solve the problems facing the cities. So this way we can collaborate with women, and the women can be involved as the main leader in this Living Lab project. Even senior citizens can be involved as well. When it comes to the aging issues or care issues, senior citizens, they should play as a leader in this network. Last year, I joined a Living Lab Gender Forum. So care system, and we recognize that the patients should be involved. They are as a main stakeholder in informing a desirable care network. So with the leader of NROC, we are with Mr. Fernando Vallarino. I'm very honored to be here as a panelist and to have this chance to discuss with you. It is not just about making something big. It is about our life. We should be the main player in this regard. So in RAR, okay, we have K and RAR here. So K and RAR is, as I said, one of the buzzwords here in Korea. Many people are showing their interest in the Korean Living Lab and the Smart City Living Lab. Those are not just the concepts. It is about our life. We should be our main players and we should collaborate with others. So Smart City should be the main playground for this to this end. So in other sense, I'd like to introduce more details about our Living Lab project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I also can feel closer to about the Living Lab Korea. So we all talked about the document only, the actions or series only written in document, but we really want to see the live document, as you pointed out, through the Living Lab. That will be a most efficient and effective, I guess. Now I'm going to turn to team leader Choi Dong-yeol. Let me ask a question. So as far as I know, you are leading a Living Lab in Dodam-dong in Sejong City. So how you started with this the Living Lab and also the promotion process, effect, or citizens' reaction about Living Lab. So before I introduce our Living Lab project, let me talk about this. Our city started the smart city infrastructure with the 3 different stages by 2030. As of now, our second stage was completed in the first half of last year. So right now we are doing the first project of the third stage of the smart city infrastructure project. So when it started this Living Lab, it was the second stage of our entire project. In the second stage, I'd like to briefly introduce what were the detailed projects, tasks, mostly focused on the safety of citizens and also necessities such as traffic, transport, and security, and infrastructure, and also the service infrastructure building we did in detail. So those elements were connected to each other, creating the smart city portal. And how we started this Living Lab is so Sejong City and our the local communities started this Living Lab. There have been a lot of difficulties, also trial and error in the process. So let me give you more explanation about this, the projects we did. Why we started this Living Lab. So our citizens in the city, we have the more people coming in the city, and also with that there are various demands and from the citizens. Also, their demands has been specified in detail as time went by. So, but the problem is that we provided our services or infrastructure from one way, top to bottom, from government to the citizens. So we really want to see something reversely from the citizen to the government, starting from the building services to the implementation. In order to make that happen, we started a Living Lab. So the target area for Living Lab went under process at that time. We saw that many people they started to living in the apartment complex in our area, and also Chungi hospitals and BRTs, bus stations, and the larger scale shopping malls and crosswalks were the very good candidate for demonstration of our Living Lab. That's the Dodam-dong area. So targeted to the citizens living in the Dodam-dong, we wanted to start the Living Lab. So we kind of recruited the citizens for Living Lab. About 46 people started as a citizen participant for Living Lab, starting from the identifying the issue to the needs identification to the service implementation. All this process citizens were involved in, but the we also minimize the participation or engagement of the public sector. So 23 services have been presented as an idea, and after the thorough verification and review, we selected the 4 services for final implementation. These 4 services include the crosswalk safety service during the nighttime, and also crossroads accident prevention service, and also PM and the notification service, and also large waste dumping prevention services. These 4 services are now being implemented and the services now underway. So with these 4 services, so crosswalks and also crossroads, when you go through that, the speed of vehicles have been slowed down, and also PM measurement was services possible. How? So citizens can download the app and install the app to see that the status of the particle fine dust and particle monitoring is possible, and also through the large waste dumping prevention service. So the dumping waste has been pretty much significantly reduced. So our citizen participation identified these smart services, and through these smart services, we were able to resolve inconveniences, difficulties that citizens face so far. And also, we really want to listen to the response or feedback from the citizens. So we carried out 2 series of the survey questionnaire, and the citizens' satisfaction was measured by inviting citizens. So mostly their satisfaction level was high. With a full score of 5.0, we were able to get the average 3.0 of the satisfaction level. And best one is that the PM monitoring service. 3 months later, we were also conducting the survey targeting to the citizens living in Dodam-dong, the area. At that time, we were able to get higher satisfaction level from the citizens living in that the Dodam-dong. In particular, the crosswalk safety services at nighttime, and also crosswalk accident prevention services received highest score with a 4.5 points out of 5.0 full scale. So this highest the responding services, we really want to spread this to other regions. So for that, we are doing the certain designing, and maybe sometime in May, we're going to place an order for these services and propagate these services to other regions.
Thank you very much for your comment. I see, and effective progress of the Smart City Living Lab in Sejong. And the next panelist is Ms. Chang Min-ju, the head of the Smart City Department of Sejong City. These days, local governments are expanding the scope of citizens' policy participation through incentives. For instance, citizen participation points. So citizens are participating in the process of realizing the services to be implemented in Sejong. Then, what are the specific roles of citizens and the effect of citizen participation? The District 5-1 in Sejong is the National Pilot City project area, and we have a goal to build the best, the smart city zone there. But what is important is to reflect the needs of the citizens in this project. Without reflecting their needs, we cannot establish a true living smart city. So the process of the decision-making process of a property organization, in this process, there is a gap between the citizens and the decision makers for the smart cities, for the public services. We should listen to the voices of citizens by making them participate in the process, so we can maximize the efficiency of the policies. So Todamdong is an area where the living lab is successfully being proceeded. So based on the Todamdong, we are going to expand the scope of living lab services throughout the city. So national pilot project, maybe this project can spread beyond Sejong City, cities across the world. So developing the services by reflecting the needs of citizens is the most critical one. And now this project is now under progress. So various services and projects are being tried and implemented. Sejong is one of the youngest cities in Korea. So the active participation of citizens will lead to a success of various projects, I believe. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'd like to ask this question to Ms. Chang. Expanding the scope of citizen participation is important. What is equally important is to reflect the needs of citizens because they are service consumers. What is the Sejong City's plan to ensure participation of various citizens?
So we have a smart city promotion division under our city government. So the experts in mobility and healthcare and also citizens are formed this the division, and it's a kind of the multi-stakeholders governance. So with that multi-stakeholders participation, we can also create certain opinions and feedback. So far, from 100 citizens, we were able to receive the feedback and opinions. But starting from the second half of this year, through the online participation, more citizens can join in the opinion presentation. And also, not only through the systematic and an establishment or the policy, we also need to have actual the participation of citizens. So since last year, we have the Smart City Academy, which is the education course for citizens to learn about smart cities. And also last year, 300 the citizens participated. And this year, the 8-week long, the course is running. So a lot of people joined in through the off and online courses. And also this panelist, Sang Jin, was the speaker in the offline courses, providing very quality lecture. So not just the online education, online participation, we are also providing various information sharing opportunities through the digital archive available in the Smart City website. So people can access various information about Smart City, which will lead to a capacity building of citizens.
Thank you very much. She mentioned about a unique system of Sejong Smart City. So senior researcher Song Ji-eun, so I think you are standing between the citizens and the researchers for development of Sejong Smart City Living Lab. What advice can you provide us? And if is there any improvement point, please share it with us. And any point to collaborate, please share it with us. I think I've mentioned some things to improve. Last time, though, I think I'm going to talk about a different story. In the past, our project, the direction about the conventional, the urban development project was different from the living lab. It is kind of horizontal type, not vertical type. It is about making something for God. It is about making for everyone. we should not distinguish between the citizens and the professionals who are researchers. If we are professionals, we are researchers. If we go out of this room, we are citizens in the city. Every one of us can be a professional in different field. We should not recognize the definition of a living loop in a difficult way. Okay, it is a simple term. Living lab and smart city. Everyone can be in charge of this living lab or the smart city. Everyone can be a main player. So when it comes to smart city, you should say that it is about eat, drink, or playing. We are the main character in the smart city film, right? It is a place where we can enjoy eating, playing, or being with others. It is about we should be more active. The citizens can go out with their children and to show them what smart city is, and then they can say that, okay, this smart city is made by me. The father can say that. Father can say to their children that the smart city was made by himself. So what I'm talking about is the citizens should be the center in this smart city project. 2030 or 2050, for our next generations, we should be able to say that I made this smart city. Okay? This way of journey will be very touching to us. There are many living lab projects going on in Korea. Most of them is just a one-time project, wonderful projects pursued by government. However, through the Living Lab project in Sejong City, some people say that now I can learn. I know what Living Lab is. I was very moved to hear that. Okay, that this project is for our next generation, for everyone. So that's why everyone should be involved. We should communicate with the citizens. Living Lab is not a difficult concept. Smart city is not a new concept. It's about life, our life, and the life of our children. It is about us. So this is the smart city forum, right? I have nothing to teach. I have nothing to tell you, teach you. I'd like to ask you is to just eat and play, have fun in this living lab. This is your work. This is my work. Living lab is my work and your work. Once you are involved, you will recognize that it is a big honor because this is some kind of unprecedented experience for your life. Okay, being part of, being a leader in this Living Lab project. We need not the eyes of professionals or the eyes of companies. We need the eyes of citizens because they are end users. The eyes of women, the eyes of the vulnerable, the eyes of the senior citizens in their 60s and 20s, 70s, and the eyes of the disabled, visually disabled, or some people they cannot walk. We need to narrow down the scope and listen to those who are rather marginalized, isolated, or vulnerable in our society. That way, we can make everyone happy in the smart city. And this kind of way, this mechanism can spread to other cities better, faster. The Sejong City can be a demonstration area, okay? The pilot area, they can demonstrate this. That this is possible. This city can show that this is possible to the world. So first, we need to create our own story, my story and your story. Then you can make progress on and on. We can realize a sustainable smart city here. Thank you.
So what you said is that you make the smart city come closer to us. Now let me turn to the team leader Choi Dong-yeol. So you have been playing a critical role in the smart city. So is there any way to expand the living lab in Sejong City, which will be established by 2030, or do you have any kind of method to specialize the living lab in each region? So far, the Sejong City and the LH have been working on the second the project for living lab. So there is a consultation for that since the last year. So this weekend we will start the ordering, and maybe we are going to they recruit the citizens' participation by the end of this year, and then we can proceed with the second project of living lab. For this second project, we're going to reflect any kind of learning points from the first project, and we will also engage the general citizens, not only the citizen participants, regular citizen participants for the living lab. And so we did a carry out offline workshop, but in this the second project we will make the best use of the online workshop as well as the citizen participation governance. So we will encourage more general citizens to engage and participate in this living lab. In the first project, we focused on the physical, the infrastructure and facilities improvement. So with that, the specific region and small area, our living lab implementation is limited to a very small area and specific region. But I hope that in a second project we'll have a certain scalability and also universality. So through the building a platform. So we will push that kind of efforts in our second project. If that is possible, every citizen in the city is going to use all the facilities effectively, enhancing their quality of life. And in a service competition, service identification competition is going to be carried out together. When we are running second living project of living lab, I understand that living lab is still strange to many people. So people just demand that something they want in front of their area, such as some kind of convenient facilities for their home or neighborhood. But we want to see something that is universally beneficial to all the people. So if we select a certain service area, we will receive a lot of ideas through the competition. Those ideas and service, the concept will be presented to all the people, and they will vote for their preference. If that happens, we can enhance the service quality. So looking forward, our administration is going to work with the Sejong City and LH. So we will keep working on the living lab by implementing the second and third and fourth the project of a living lab, spreading the living lab entire the Sejong City. Thank you very much for your answer. As you said, living lab is not a temporary and the one-off, rather it could be the permanent and universal one. So let me ask a question to the chair of Laredo. So how I believe that smart city and sustainable smart city is the buzzword everywhere in the world. So how should the role of citizens change in the future to create a sustainable smart city? And also, as team leader Choi said, what is the plan to attract citizens' consent and participation in a regular and universal living lab, not a temporary and one-off living lab? Let me ask you, Mr. Palladino.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, after all these interventions, I will be really excited. I'm looking forward to strengthening our collaboration with SEJONG and the Living Labs in Korea definitely is an amazing experience to share all these approaches from Korea and Europe and the world. Looking forward to it, definitely. As I was mentioning in my previous interventions, Living Labs have a number of features, and active user engagement is the core. From the user-centric perspective, I believe it is essential to have the user in the center of the innovation process, but not only in a position to develop innovative solutions for and with them, but these solutions to be developed also by the users themselves. And this probably means having the citizens in a decision-making position. For that to happen, I think that it is relevant to include the citizens in the design phases of projects. Probably by connecting with associations of patients, consumers, and also by identifying what we call the alpha users. The alpha users are drivers for the rest of the population, probably the sparkling element of the early adopters. But for that to happen, I think that the public administration will have to admit and manage the fact that outcomes that are obtained through this participatory process, which is a joint effort in which co-design is an essential part of it. So then it has an implicit shared management of intellectual property, which is a challenge that we all are having currently. And again, probably one of the more unique features of Living Labs is that they deploy their actions in actual real life settings. These are accessible open spaces where users, citizens, develop their day-by-day activities. So these spaces should not be closed. It should be as open as possible, not in a lab in a company or a university, or a ERD department, but eventually any space in which real-life actions can happen. For that, I think that hospitals, squares, public libraries, streets of roads, as mentioned before, have the opportunity of becoming this place for actual engagement and decision-making. If citizens and the users that are approached to the innovation processes are identified also as sources of ideas or data, then the co-creation process will not be fully deployed. As a citizen, I think that I wouldn't be wanted to be engaging in a process in which I am seen as a factor from which to get just data or information. I probably would like to be an actor. Or eventually, probably we could decide not to be engaged at all in those processes. So probably I think that this is the way forward, to understand to what extent we can include these decision-making processes into the governance processes of the governance models of our Living Labs.
네, 감사드립니다. 이제
Thank you very much. It's time to wrap up the panel discussion today. Okay, we have invited 4 panelists from home and abroad, and to talk about the Living Labs in Korea, not only here in Korea, but across the world. So we share the current status of Living Labs worldwide in this session. Smart city is not a city which looks good. That should be a city where we can lead a happier life. We can have fun together, right? The Federal Price, Mr. Federal Price said that technology is the answer. Then what's the problem? We should not waste unnecessary technologies for the problems that do not exist. We should build a smart city for people. We are citizens. Some say that the citizen scientists, which means we are competent enough to solve the problems of this city, to build a true living lab or a true smart city. So we should share the issues with the citizens, researchers, and professionals and public officials, of course. Thank you very much for sharing your time for this time. All the panelists, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Smart city creating with citizens. This was a meaningful discussion together with the distinguished panelists from home and abroad. Thank you very much for being with us online and offline. And I'd like to extend my appreciation to the moderator, Mr. An Chang-ho, the head of Smart City, the Research Center. Thank you very much. So this concludes the second session of day 2. And starting from 1:30, the next session will begin. Please stay with us. Thank you very much. Thank you.